Hi, my name is Joanna and I'm with Mountain Lather Soap Company, and today I'm going to show you how I make these Mountain Man bars. So I use two different colors in these bars. I use charcoal on the bottom and the French green clay on the top, and I shape these a specific way to get this mountain look throughout the bar. Something that I hear people ask me all the time is, how do you shape your bars? How do you get these designs in the top? So if you watch this video, you'll find that out. So for me, every batch starts out pretty similarly. First, I get my water measured out and my lye measured out in separate containers. You can see that I use stainless steel for my liquid and I use glass for my lye. I like the stainless steel for mixing the lye and water together because it won't get damaged when the chemical reaction occurs. So you're always going to add the lye to the water, not the other way around, or else you'll have a big problem. It's very dangerous to do it that way. So you add the lye into the water mixture, and I do this slowly, stirring as I go so it all gets mixed evenly together. Then that just sits and cools. So that as that chemical reaction happens, that mixture will heat up to very, very hot temperatures, and then it needs to sit and cool, which is one of the reasons why I do this step first. The next step that I do is I will then get my oils measured out. So everything in soap is measured by weight, not volume. So you'll see my scale traveling around with me. So first I'm going to measure out the coconut oil. I get that all measured out, and then I actually use a spatula to break up the chunks so it melts quicker. If you leave big chunks, then those will stay and it'll take longer for you to melt your oils down. Then I add the castor oil and the olive oil. Once those oils are all measured out in this pot, then I put this pot right on my stove and heat that up. So the oils need to warm up as the lye and water cools down. And once they're within 10 degrees of each other, that's when you can actually mix the soap together. I like to mix my soap at about 110 degrees is what I shoot for. On the stove, I'm going to get everything else ready to go. So the next step is to measure out my essential oils. So for this batch, I'm using the Balsam Fir essential oil and the Clove essential oil. Once those are measured, I get the colorant. So for this one, I'm using activated charcoal and French green clay. So I get those measured out. It's really important to have everything ready before you're actually mixing, because you don't want to be wasting time measuring things when it's time to actually mix up your soap. I also use this time to get all my molds set up, get my immersion blender out, and get everything ready to go while the oils are heating up and the lye is cooling down. So now that the lye and water has cooled down and the oils have heated up, they're at the same temperature. So now I'm going to get them mixed together with my immersion blender. So the next step in this batch is that I'm going to now separate the batch into two different bowls so I can mix the different colors. So I'm going to first mix in the black, because the black is going to be the bottom layer of these bars. So first I'm going to add the charcoal and mix it up with my immersion blender. But then, because this essential oil blend is going to speed up quickly, I'm actually going to use a whisk to mix in the essential oils, because that will just slow it down a little bit. So then once the essential oil and the charcoal are all mixed in, I'm going to pour this carefully into the bottom layer of these bars. And again, this batch hardens very quickly, so it's not going to take very long for this to set. And then the next step is that I'm going to use a spatula, and this is where I start actually shaping the mountains. So I use the spatula and I just start from the outside of the bars and I just pull to the inside. So I do first one side, and then I'll go through and I'll do the other side. And then this has to set up for a minute before you do the next layer. So once I have that done, now I'm going to mix up the green color. So I'm going to add the French green clay into the mixture, stir that in with the immersion blender to get the clay all blended in, and then the same thing where I then add the essential oil and mix the essential oils in with the whisk. Once that's ready, I'm going to pour that into a smaller container that's easier for me to hold, and I use a spatula in one hand as I pour the mixture right on top of the spatula, and this just slows it down so it doesn't damage that bottom layer that's already shaped into mountains. So I'm going to get that all poured in. Now once that's done, I'm going to again leave this to set up. This batch hardens quickly, so it doesn't take very long, and then I'm going to do the exact same technique again with the spatula to shape the mountains up onto the top. So what I've found works best for my particular recipe and how my soaps turn out is that I leave my soaps into the molds for 2 days before I then go and unmold them. So now 2 days have passed and I'm going to get these bars unmolded. And then I like to use it's just a regular peeler along the edges of my bars just to smooth out all those corners. So once that's done, I pull out my soap cutter. I used to cut each of my bars individually, but then I found that they came out pretty uneven. So I really like this soap cutter that I have because it's quicker and my bars are all very uniform. So now I'm going to go ahead and get all my bars cut up, and then you can see how they actually come out when I hold up the bars. You can see the black mountain, you can see the green top, and this is what the bars will look like. So the last step is just to then, after they're cut up, I get them all spaced out on a big tray. It's important to leave a little bit of airflow in between each bar because these are still soft and you want each side to harden off and cure and get equal access to the air. So I get these all spaced out onto the tray, and then now the curing process takes 4 to 6 weeks. So I leave them on a shelf to finish curing, and then they are ready to go. So I hope you found this video helpful. I hope you subscribe to my page so you can see more soap making videos. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave that in the comment section below. Thanks for watching.